I know women have C-sections every day, all of the time, but that doesn't mean they're like a walk in the park or a breeze. Let me just share with you a few tips to hopefully make your recovery process a little bit better. I figured I would take you through my postpartum essentials. This is more specifically geared at C-sections, but could still be helpful. Now, this is my third baby, third time preparing for postpartum, third time preparing for another C-section. So I feel like I can maybe share some good tips with you. So let's dive in. So first up, I have undies. Now, yeah, we're gonna talk about our underwear, but the hospital gives you, you know, like those disposable ones, and Freedom Mom makes those disposable ones, but you can also get this much cheaper alternative from Walmart. And the disposable ones, even though you're having a C-section, are still so helpful because you're gonna have this incision and it can be uncomfortable. So being able to have like the disposable underwear that go all the way up over it, and you're still gonna bleed, unfortunately, you will. It's just nice to still use the disposable ones, to just throw them away and be done with it. So I did buy a pack of the disposable ones, and I will also take as many as I can home from the hospital because those ones are free. So I do recommend that. And then also, you're not gonna wanna wear disposable underpants for weeks on end, trust me. But they make these good ones. I think I got these ones off of Amazon, but they're high-waisted, and that helps a lot with your C-section scar. Because a lot of times, so your C-section scar is actually much lower than you would think. And where it sits, sometimes it can be very uncomfortable to wear like regular underwear. So the high-waisted ones help a ton because they go right over it. They're also just like super stretchy. Like these black ones, because obviously they're black, because you're still gonna be bleeding, unfortunately. And then obviously with that, we are still going to need some type of pads. Now, because of our type of birth, we don't need like the huge maxi ones. At least I don't. I don't know, but in my experience, just regular pads that you would use for your period work just fine. So I'm making sure I have those in stock. Obviously everyone's different, but just regular everyday pads worked just fine for me. That's all I'm going to be preparing for. I'm not going to buy anything like extra. Now the next one is an abdominal binder. Now I don't have this on hand because I just use the free one that the hospital gives me, and you could totally buy them, but I don't wear mine for that long, so it would kind of be like a pointless purchase for me, in my opinion. Some people like to wear these for a lot longer, but I just use the free one the hospital gives me. So after your C-section, they will give you this abdominal binder, and it honestly, I think how the nurse explained it to me was that it just feels good to wear because you can make it nice and tight, and it feels like everything's put together. Most women feel better after their C-sections when they wear their abdominal binder. I don't wear it every day, but it definitely helps you feel like your organs and everything are in there. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. Okay, no, I asked ChatGPT so that we can, you know, get some good information here. But it does help reduce the pain, yes, and promote healing by providing compression. Okay, and reduces swelling and supports the muscles. So it actually does have benefit. Yeah, it says it helps provide comfort and help support your abdominal muscles as they heal and regain strength. So again, that one comes free from the hospital. I think most hospitals, hopefully. So I do recommend just giving it a shot. If it feels good for you, wear it. Some people, they don't like to wear it. So maybe keep that in mind, but yeah, try that out. Okay, next up. You get home from the hospital, and this might sound weird, but it is really hard to lay flat after your C-section. So sleeping and getting into your bed can be difficult. My advice is to have a lot of pillows stacked in your bed so that it is not so difficult to get in and out of your bed. It also sometimes hurts to try to lay completely flat. So stacking tons and tons of pillows. I think honestly you can go on like Amazon and they make like specific pillows for this. However, I'm going to tell you this is not going to last for very long. So I don't really know the justification of spending that amount of money. Maybe for you it is, I don't know. But I'm just going to make do with tons of pillows so that I am angled like upright and it's just much easier. Kind of think like of a hospital bed. When you're in the hospital bed, you can kind of maneuver it so that you're not flat. This is like the same thing. We're gonna maneuver it so we do not have to lay flat. I will also say, previously when I've come home from C-sections and that is just not cutting it for me with the pillows and such, I have just slept in a nursery chair that reclines, because that is sometimes just easier. And again, it doesn't last forever, just like those first few days. I want to try to explain this feeling as best as I can. So think of like if your hand, I'm sure you can imagine, if you had like a big cut across your hand, you can imagine it would hurt to like make your hand like straight. It would just hurt to move your hand, right, with a big cut there. Okay, so this is like your abdomen and you just have like a huge open cut right there. So that's kind of why it, and like all of your abdominal muscles are there as well, as I'm sure you know. So that's kind of why it feels better to be elevated like that while you're sleeping rather than straight back. But yeah, gotta do what you gotta do to be comfortable. Lots of pillows. Okay, my next one is another pillow. And I know that sounds silly, but this one is specifically for if you need to cough or sneeze, or God forbid you need to puke, or if you're laughing, something like that. Taking a pillow and just hold, let me grab one. Okay. So a pillow like this. This is also helpful if you're gonna be in like the car, because bumps are going to hurt, unfortunately. But taking a pillow like this and you place it over your scar and you apply pressure, it helps a ton if you have a lot of coughing going on or sneezing or throwing up, something like that. Just the pressure alone right there helps alleviate the pain a little bit. I will say, unfortunately, when I had C-sections, I was not able to get like the spinal epidural, and I had to do general anesthesia. And unfortunately, for me, when you wake up out of general anesthesia, because they just had a tube shoved down your throat, as soon as you wake up, you kind of have to cough and get it out. So when I would wake up out of general anesthesia, just coming out of my C-section, the nurses would literally have a pillow ready for me to go and throw it over my incision and press it in to help me out. And that helped a ton. So throwing that out there. Another thing, very loose, comfy clothes. I feel like this goes in regards to just postpartum in general, but a lot of us, our bellies are not just going to shrink back down to nothing. I mean, I hope yours does. I do. But I know mine is not. I'm still going to have a bit of a belly. I might not look 9 months pregnant. I might only look a few months pregnant, but I still need looser clothes. And then also, like with your C-section scar, sometimes it's just uncomfortable where clothes sit on it. You don't want it to be extremely tight. So making sure, you know, you just have some clothes that are comfortable. All right, this one is optional and there's nothing really for you to prep here, but pain management. And when you're in the hospital, they'll obviously talk to you about it, but staying on top of it is so important. I do breastfeed and I take the highest amount of medication that they will offer. And I think just knowing it's really just the first week that is painful. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The first week hurts. And so for really just that 1 week, I am making sure I am on top of my pain medication, and then I'm okay. I hope that's obviously very individualistic. Not everyone has the same experience, but for me, that's how it goes. So I try to stay up on top of the pain medication. I will say there's times where I'm like, oh no, I'll be fine, I don't need it. And then I don't take it, and then I'm awake at 2 a.m. in excruciating pain, trying to like get back on top of it. And it's so much harder once you start experiencing that intense pain to like try to get it to go away rather than just being on top of it. So it's just something to consider. Obviously not medical advice or anything, but trying to stay on top of it. And then also along with that, hopefully they offer, but like stool softeners and like things for like gas pain. A lot of times you're like, oh, I don't need it. You might not, I hope you don't, but a lot of times it can it can just be easier if you just take it. Just saying. I'm just saying from experience, you might have an easier time if you just take like the Gas X they give you and the stool softeners and all of the things, because again, it's a lot of abdominal muscles. It might just be helpful. This one, if possible, I know everyone's circumstances are different, but having someone here with you when you come home from your C-section, whether it's your partner or your mom or someone, you need someone. And I'm saying that because it's hard to move. I'm gonna be honest with you, especially if you have other kids, it's hard to move around. And you know, you still have a lot of restrictions with C-sections, like you're not be able to drive. You can't even pick up the car seat. You can only pick up the baby. You can't really bend. I live in a two-story house really, and going up and down steps that first week is incredibly difficult. So when I'm upstairs, it is just for bedtime sleeping, and then I spend the whole day in our downstairs area. Like there's no chance I'm going up and down those steps. So yeah, just like having someone here to help you, because it's hard to move around. And going along with that, we're gonna talk about our mindset. So I'm not trying to be like scary, like, ooh, this is gonna hurt a lot. Like I know it is, and I'm saying all of this, and I would do this again. I would have 10 more C-sections and go through all of it again. And for me, truly the pain is just, the worst pain is the first week. So your first day post C-section, like you just had your baby, you're gonna be in la la land, right? Like you have so much adrenaline going. And then like when you wake up the next day, it might all start kicking in. And then from there, that first week, it's a little difficult, I would say, just in terms of pain. I want to remind you, like, it will get better. I know in the moment you're like, will I ever be able to move again without pain? And you will. I know that 5-5-5 rule is really popular, and you can totally do whatever you want. I will say post C-section, it's a fine line, because there's so much information out there about how moving around after a C-section or any surgery is so beneficial, and I do think that's true, but also it's really hard. So I think it is such a fine line. So I try to move a little bit. I mean, I'm not going for a mile-long walk. I'm not walking up hills. I'm just like moving the tiniest bit in my house, just little bits. But mainly resting, just a ton of rest. So really fine line there. Obviously listen to like whatever your doctor recommends, but yeah, I think just the mindset of just you will get through this. You will. Okay, let's take a little break from C-section talk. My next few things are just specifically related for postpartum in terms of like your milk supply coming in. So I have a ton of nursing bras on deck. Now for me personally, I have so many because it feels the best for me to wear a nursing bra at all times. Not wearing a bra like physically hurts me. I don't know, I might be alone in that. I'm not really sure, but that's why I have so many on deck, because I know myself, I'm gonna wanna sleep in one of these. And I'm gonna obviously wear one throughout the day, but obviously do whatever's comfortable for you. If you wanna just start out with a few, kind of figure it out from there. You'll kind of figure out what's comfortable and what's not for you. But I have a ton of those on deck. These disposable nursing pads, just because when your milk supply is coming in and trying to figure itself out, you might experience a lot of leaking. So these come in handy so that you're not having to change your bra every 5 minutes. And then one more thing with preparing with like the milk supply and stuff is having a nipple cream. I literally just ordered it because I almost forgot about this, but those first few feeds might hurt. I hope they don't, but they might. And the nipple cream totally helps. This is the one I really like. I've had success with it. It's very natural. You don't have to like wipe it off either before you feed your baby, which I appreciate. So I like to have that on deck to help. Also, if you're pumping, it's also helpful. Sometimes pumping sometimes pumping, yeah, sometimes I get uncomfortable, so I like to have this cream on hand as well for that. Honestly, I think that is it for my postpartum essentials, like things I know I'm going to need to have on hand, or just my mindset and just know about for postpartum and preparing. But I am so excited to be postpartum. I know, don't get me wrong, postpartum is hard, but I am so excited to be postpartum. I personally feel so much better when I get this baby out of me and I don't feel third trimester pregnant. I don't know, obviously everyone's different, but I hope if you are watching this and like you're in your third trimester and you're feeling awful about yourself, like there's hope that maybe, I hope you have a really good postpartum experience. Anywho, and I hope this was helpful in any way. If it just gave you like a word of encouragement or something. I'm just talking to the girls here, being honest and preparing. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.